Once upon a time there was an old mercenary. He fought long in the wars and hard and survived them all. But an unfortunate plague of peace had broken out across the land, and he found himself without work, left only with the clothes on his back, the sword at his side, a few coins in his purse, and his cat. He wandered long and far across the kingdom looking for work, looking for someone to hire his sword. And people would hire him for a day to mow hay, to help herd cows, but no one needed a mercenary anymore. So he sat in the woods with his cat, counting his last few coins. And he said to the cat, "If there is a village nearby, we will have one last fine meal. And then, I suppose I shall starve, and you will be left catching some farmer's mice." The cat rubbed against his leg and said, "Master, if you trust me, we shall not starve, we shall live in luxury." And he was a mercenary, so he had seen much that was strange. And so he did not startle when he saw the cat speaking, or when he heard its voice. He merely nodded and said, "Yes. There is a village over this hill and through the woods. Go to the inn, buy the finest meal you can, and stay the night. I do not have the coin for that." "Trust me," the cat said. And so the mercenary picked himself up and went through the wood and over the hill to the inn, Le Bois Vert, the green wood, named after the wood that surrounded the village. And he went into the inn and he called to the innkeeper and said, "Bring me your finest food," and gave out the last few coins he had. And the innkeeper brought him meats and vegetables such that he had not eaten in so long. The innkeeper's daughter brought him the finest mead and ale. And as always, the mercenary was careful to feed the finest choices, the finest bits, to his cat. And after the meal was done, he wondered, what am I going to do now? But the cat was sitting at his feet with a silver coin in his mouth. And he said, "Innkeeper, a room. Not the common room, but a room for myself." And he handed over the coin. It was late by then, and he had eaten well, so he was ready to sleep. The cat saw him tucked and settled in, saw the sword tucked away safely, and then left the inn on his own 4 feet. He had overheard conversation in the common room. There was a baron. He had a castle, and he had daughters. So he raced his way to the castle and arrived just in time to find an argument happening between the baron and his wife. "No, no, we will not let them go to the village. It is not safe." "Husbands, if they do not meet people, how will they be prepared to be presented to the court? And they are restless here in the castle. There are no children for them to play with. Let them go to the village." "No. Send one of the guards with them if you're so worried." "You would send Mark with them?" "We cannot trust Mark with children, especially not girl children." "Antoine?" "You have made a point. Then we must hire someone. They cannot stay here." And at this point, the cat stepped forward and said, "Monseigneur, my lord, there is a mercenary in the village nearby looking for work. Is he handsome? Oui. Passable? Is he honorable? Bien sûr. Most important, is he good with his weapon? He would not be here if he was not good with his weapon. I will look at him tomorrow. Go back to the kitchen, cat, but I will take your words under advisement." So the cat went back to the inn and curled up with his master. And in the morning, with the remains of the silver coin that he had bought his room for, The mercenary had breakfast. He broke his fast, eating of whatever the innkeeper would offer. And the Baron came in his finest carriage, drawn by matched horses, with his guards hanging on, a rough-looking crowd indeed. The Baron entered. The innkeeper bowed and offered his finest ale, his finest wines. And the Baron accepted just so he could watch the mercenary. And the cat came up to him and said, "Is he all that I offered? He is handsome, but not so handsome that I have to worry about my daughters. He would look fine in my livery, but this proves nothing about his strength, his honor. It proves nothing. I will go." And at that point, one of his armsmen comes in and says, "Baron, we cannot leave. The carriage is stuck." "Well, push it out then." "We have tried." The mercenary, hearing this, unwound himself from the table and said, "I will help." And with his help and his strength from long wars and much fighting, they pushed the carriage free. And the Baron looked at the cat and said, "He is strong, but again, this proves nothing." But the mercenary walked them out of town in case the carriage became stuck again. And at the edge of town said, "You will be fine from here. I must practice." And as the carriage rolled away, the Baron could see the mercenary with his sword practicing his form. And it was fine indeed. But a fine form does not make a fine fighter. The Baron was not convinced. He told the cat, "I will come back the next day, and we will see how well he fights and how honorable he is." That evening at the meal, another silver coin came to the cat in the cat's mouth. Another night in the inn, another fine meal, and the mercenary slept. When he woke in the morning, he found the cat with him as always, but his sword, it looked different. It was new, it was shiny, it was burnished, and its edge was sharp and had never had to be resharpened. But he did not question, for he trusted the cat. He belted it on and went downstairs from the inn and found the Baron waiting with one of his armsmen. And in a moment, the armsman looked at him and began swearing. "Souteloy! You foul piece!" The Baron held him and said, "What is your problem?" "Anton, that is my sword." "It is not your sword. It is mine. It was given to me." "That is my sword. I will kill you." "I will give you the sword back, if that will make you a happy man. I only ask your own blade in trade, so I'm not unarmed." "That is not good enough. You are a thief." "I do have no quarrel with you." "You will not get out of my challenge." "As you wish." And the mercenary stepped out into the street so as to not damage the innkeeper's inn, who had been so generous and kind to him. He said, "We will duel then. Hand on blade." The armsman pulled his blade and attacked with a flurry of thrusts and cuts. But with skill and reflexes long honed by war, battle, and idiots, the mercenary fended off his blows, deflecting each one until the armsman's blade dropped to the ground. And the mercenary laid his foot on the blade and said, "Are we done?" "No, we are not done. We will never..." And the Baron said, "Enough! You were skilled. You were honorable. Will you return his blade?" "Happily." Mercenary, I have work for you. And what would that work be? My daughters need a guard. You will live in my household. No mere armsman will you be. Not when I trust my most precious treasures with you. And so the mercenary rode in the carriage, the finest carriage he had ever seen, in comfort and luxury, to a life better than any he had ever known. And the cat sat smugly by his side, purring with the thought of rich creams and sweetmeats and roasts that he would enjoy at the baron's table.